بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Assalamu alaikum everyone. I want to extend a warm welcome to everyone here. I know a lot of you have travelled from all across London, from King's, from Barts, QM and Imperial. It's great to see so many of you under one roof, coming together for the sake of Allah. Today we have a very esteemed guest in Ustad Abu Taymiyyah. First of all, I'd like to apologize on behalf of BLI ISOC. I know a lot of you haven't made it today due to the sign-up situation, but I hope you benefit as much from online as you would have in person. So Ustad Abu Taymiyyah is a very esteemed speaker. He studied in Medina. He's a University of Medina graduate. He studied under the most knowledgeable shayukhs in the world. And we are very, very honored to have him today. Of course, the Ustad is someone close to our hearts, as he's taken time out of his own busy schedule to come and see us today. May Allah bless him and reward him. And he'll be delivering today's talk on the lessons from Surah Yusuf and also the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Inshallah, after the talk, we will head down to East London Mosque and pray Maghrib together. Without further ado, I'd like to hand it over to Ustad Abu Taymiyyah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. إن هذا القرآن يهدي للتي هي أقوم ويبشر المؤمنين الذين يعملون الصالحات أن لهم أجرا كبيرا وأن الذين لا يؤمنون بالآخرة أعتدنا لهم عذابا أليما. ويدعو الإنسان بالشر دعاءه بالخير وكان الإنسان عجولا. وجعلنا الليل والنهار آيتين فمحونا آية الليل وجعلنا آية النهار مبصرة لتبتغوا فضلا من ربكم ولتعلموا عدد السنين والحساب وكل شيء فصلناه تفصيلا. وكل إنسان ألزمناه طائره في عنقه ونخرج له يوم القيامة كتابا يلقيه منشورا. اقرأ كتابك كفى بنفسك اليوم عليك حسيبا. من اهتدي فإنما يهتدي لنفسه ومن ضل فإنما يضل عليها ولا تزر وازرة وزر أخرى وما كنا معذبين حتى نبعث رسولا. وإذا أردنا أن نهلك قرية أمرنا متر فيها ففسقوا فيها فحق عليها القول فدمرناها تدميرا. وكم أهلكنا من القرون من بعد نوح وكفى بربك بذنوب عباده خبيرا بصيرا. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وأصلي وأسلم على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين بعثه الله شاهدا ومبشرا ونذيرا وداعيا إلى الله بإذنه والسراج منيرا. First and foremost, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Honestly, my beloved brothers and sisters, from the bottom of my heart, I want to say Jazakumullahu khairan for attending this program. The fact that every single one of you guys came to attend in order to benefit. This is what we're here for. We're here to benefit from the reminder. We're not here because maybe I am. We are here to benefit from the speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that will guide us to that which is best for every single one of us. My beloved brothers and sisters, many of you could have been doing all sorts of things on this night. We know the state of university students, and it really, really breaks my heart. Every now and again, I receive a message, correspondence, by email, on Instagram, especially on Twitter, of university students, right, who have run themselves in the ground. Their iman has become so shaken, brothers and sisters, right? The iman has become so tarnished, it's become affected. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless every single one of you for coming in order to take away inspiration from this wonderful chapter in the Quran, Surat Yusuf. My beloved brothers and sisters, the reason why I picked Surat Yusuf, the chapter of Yusuf, or the chapter of Joseph, as a theme when delivering all of these different lectures around the country, is because Surat Yusuf is so relatable. If you are feeling sad, you are feeling miserable, you're going through troubles, you are in prison, your iman has been shaken, you find yourself maybe tied to all types of filth and evil, my beloved brothers and sisters, this surah is the surah to take us out of the darkness into the light. There are so many different surah chapters in the Quran that I could have picked, but Surah Yusuf, as I mentioned, it is so relatable to every single one of us here. Also, my reason for picking Surah Yusuf, my beloved brothers and sisters, is because, as we know, many of the prophets, they went through a lot of difficulties and hardships. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala relieved the different prophets by different means and different ways. If you look at the story of Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, how did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save him and also those who believed in him? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala split the sea, right? It was a miracle. By way of miracle that they were saved. You look at Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, he was thrown into the fire. And as we know, through the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made this fire that he was thrown in a place of peace. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved him by way of miracle. We look at the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, right? There are incidents where Allah azza wa jal aided and assisted him by way of miracle, like the moon splitting. However, when you look at Surah Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, my brothers and my sisters, Allah azza wa jal could have saved him through a miracle, right? He was thrown into prison, was he not? And Allah azza wa jal, he could have split this prison open. He could have been saved and relieved of his problems by way of miracle. But that did not happen, brothers and sisters. Right? And perhaps Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants this to be a story that every single individual can relate to. It can remain relatable for every individual that reads it. My beloved brothers and sisters, before I take a stroll through Surah Yusuf, I just want to speak about some of the main points of Surah Yusuf so you have an idea of what happened to Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam. The chapter starts with a dream that Yusuf saw. إِنِّي رَأَيْتُ أَحَدَ عَشَرَ كَوْكَبًا. I saw 11 stars, وَالشَّمْسَ وَالْقَمَرَ. Likewise the sun and the moon, all prostrating to me. He goes running to his father and he lets him know of what he's just seen. Straight away his father says, لَا تَقْصُصْ رُؤْيَاكَ عَلَى إِخْوَتِكَ. Do not relate this story or this dream that you've just had to your brothers, as they will plot against you. They will harm you, O Yusuf. Be extra careful. of what you do. Do not relate this story or this dream to your brothers, as the shaitan will get the better of them, and it may well be that you go through a difficult time. As the story goes on, brothers and sisters, his brothers, they notice that the father, Ya'qub, is more inclined towards Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam and his brother Binyamin. Because Ya'qub, he had two wives. One of the wives gave birth to Yusuf and also Binyamin. And they were the two that were most beloved to him. The rest were from a different mother. So this became pretty apparent to them, which led the brothers of Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam plotting against him. Long story cut short, they came to their father and they said, "Oh father, you never let us take Yusuf. Let us take him tomorrow. We're going to play. And we want him to be with us." As reluctant he was, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed, sent down revelation upon Ya'qub to let them take him. You're probably asking yourself the question, isn't Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala all-knowing and all-wise? Why is it that He is now allowing this to take place? Especially because Allah Azza wa Jalla knows what they're going to do. Right? So, He eventually allows them to take Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam and they get rid of him. They throw him in the well. They come back to their father holding the cloth of Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, that which he was wearing, right? Which had some blood on it. And this blood was meant to be a proof that he has now been eaten, right, by a wolf. Came to their father with crocodile tears, and inshallah ta'ala is one of the points that we will be standing over. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decreed that he is then found by some travelers. They eventually ended up selling him off to Al-Aziz. In the time was a chancellor, likewise the leader. These are the roles that Al-Aziz had. He bought him for a very small price, subhanAllah. From being in that situation, that darkness, inside of that well, right? And this should show you, brothers and sisters, life is بين الابتلاء والنعيم. You will go through difficulties, and there are times of ease. SubhanAllah. He went through a difficulty, and all of a sudden he finds himself being brought up in a palace. And then later on, what happens? This is a part of the chapter that we really need to stand over, inshallah ta'ala. A part of the chapter that we really need to stand over. The altercation that happened between Yusuf and also the wife of Al-Aziz. When she said, "Bring it on. Let's do this." She locked him up, right? And she wanted to do filthy, evil acts with him. Like, Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam is then thrown into prison. He then comes out. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decrees that he now becomes the chancellor of the country. Allah Azza wa Jalla decreed that later on, when the famine struck, that the brothers of Yusuf, those who used their hands to throw Yusuf in the well, they are now begging him, وَتَصَدَّقْ عَلَيْنَا, we are in need of charities, so please help us. Look how the tables turn. This is life, brothers and sisters. Today you oppress, and tomorrow you find yourself in a situation where you are extremely, extremely humble. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is all fair and just. As time goes on, brothers and sisters, there are a number of events that take place. Eventually, Allah Azza wa Jal reunites Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam with his beloved father, Ya'qub alayhi salatu wasalam, who was also a prophet. So now, let's stand over different parts of this surah that I believe is extremely relatable to the uni student. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starts off by saying, نَحْنُ نَقُصُّ عَلَيْكَ أَحْسَنَ الْقَصَصِ. We would relate to you, O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the best of the stories. This is a chapter that came down upon the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Muhammad ibn Abdullah, the Prophet that we have been instructed to follow. Right? You may ask yourself, why is he being told a story? My brothers and my sisters, wasn't our Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam an individual that went through so many trials and difficulties? He went through so many hardships. He was not only verbally abused, but also physically. And not just by any individual, right? You had his family members who gave him a very, very hard time. When you're oppressed by your classmate, it is very different to being oppressed by a family member. It is very, very different to being oppressed by a family member. The Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was humiliated in front of everyone by his own uncle, Abu Lahab. One day, the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam gathered the people in front of the Kaaba, and he wanted to remind them of why he has been sent to them. So as he started speaking, his uncle cuts him off and he says, "Is this why you brought us here?" And this is me paraphrasing. "Tabban lak, may you perish, O Muhammad." Can you imagine how this would really, really hurt brothers and sisters? This is your uncle humiliating you, embarrassing you in front of everyone. SubhanAllah. And this is why Surat Al-Masad came down. Tabbat yada abi lahabin wa tab. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down these verses. Right? May the hands of Abu Lahab perish. Tabbat yada abi lahabin wa tab. So my brothers and my sisters, as you guys are aware, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the greatest human being that ever walked on the face of this earth. Him being the greatest person doesn't take away from the emotions that the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam experienced, right? He's still a human being at the end of the day. And as Allah tells us in the Quran, وَلَقَدْ نَعْلَمُ أَنَّكَ يَضِيقُ صَدْرُكَ بِمَا يَقُولُونَ. We know that which they keep on saying is bringing you a lot of pain in your chest. فَسَبِّحْ بِحَمْدِ رَبِّكَ وَكُنْ مِنَ السَّاجِدِينَ. So now go and glorify your Lord and be an individual who prays. Right? With him going through these difficulties and these hardships, right? Tightness of the chest, he would struggle, brothers and sisters. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would send down these verses, these chapters in the Quran, these stories, so that the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam can become inspired, so that he can ease his pain, brothers and sisters. If I was to say to you when you come to me with your problems, Muhammad, I'm going through this, I'm going through that, and I say to you, listen brother, I went through X, Y, and Z. And you think to yourself, subhanAllah, I'm complaining about this when he went through that. Doesn't that really make you feel better, brother and sister, when you think about it? I've got a lot of students coming up to me saying, especially now, I've been rejected by Medina University. Many youngsters, they want to go to Medina University, they apply, and they get rejected, and they apply again, they get rejected. And the brother is extremely heartbroken, feels demotivated. And then I say to him, Akhi, I applied 6 years in a row and got rejected every single time. Oh, subhanAllah, wow. 6 times. Yeah, 6 times, brothers and sisters. And I kept on trying. And I kept on making dua. And it eventually happened. But the point of the matter is, the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is in need of inspiration. He's in need of something that he can hold on to, which will ease the pain and the hurt that he's experiencing. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends down Surah Yusuf. Here Allah is saying the best of the stories. Scholars they differ. Is the story of Musa والسلام, the best of the stories? Or is it this one? Anyways, I don't want to go into a scholarly discussion. However, it is from amongst the best of the stories. Better than Romeo and Juliet, brothers and sisters. It is better than Majnoon Layla. When you go to the Arab world, they have an equivalent of Romeo and Juliet. It's called Majnoon Layla. The one who was crazy about Layla. Myths and legends, anime. I'm sure a lot of you guys are anime addicts. Stories after stories. Keeps you entertained. No offense to anybody who watches anime. But I think you guys get the point, right? And by the way, not so long ago, someone showed me how they have some shirky scenes in there. Scenes where he starts now attributing the occurrences of the cosmic universe to other than Allah. And that's extremely dangerous. I wasn't actually thinking about mentioning anime, but it just came up. Point of the matter is, brothers and sisters, there are many stories that we read. Sahih? Before we go to sleep, we read stories to our children. There is no story, brothers and sisters, that you will come across today in the 21st century that comes anywhere close to Surah Yusuf. Wallahi, you sat down, taking out benefits to relate back to your family members every day of the year. How many days are there? 365, right? And you round it up. 364, point. If you were to take a benefit for every day, you still wouldn't have enough. You still wouldn't have enough, brothers and sisters, days in the year. There are so many gems. There are so many pearls and diamonds that can be taken out of this surah. أحسن القصص بما أوحينا إليك هذا القرآن. So my beloved brothers and sisters, he tells him about, and Yusuf tells his father Yaqub, who was a prophet, and he saw a dream. The first waqfa, the first point that we can stand over is the fact that he went running to his father and he felt so comfortable to have that conversation with him. Should tell us a lot, brothers and sisters. Do you have any fathers in the lecture hall? Or any mothers? Put your hand up. Because they're all millennials. Subhanallah. Right. Would you agree, brothers and sisters, that there are fathers that the child may not necessarily feel comfortable to have a conversation with? There are fathers like that, right? Wallahi, there are children who are sexually abused. They go to their fathers in order to confine. They go to their fathers in order to confine within them, right? And he says to him, Akhi, be a man. How can you be abused? Get out of here. Go man up. Is that really the response? And then where does he go? He goes and he confines in others. They could be drug dealers. They could be people of evil. And so on and so forth. Right? And I'm sure a lot of you guys have younger siblings. Have that relationship with them. Let them feel comfortable around you. If they don't, trust me, they will find others. If the father is not fulfilling his role, be somebody who changes that cycle. Be there for others. Let them feel comfortable around you. Otherwise, like I said, they will go to others. So he went running to his father. Dad, I saw this. What does this mean, oh father? Straight away, he tells him, لا تقصص رؤياك. Do not relate this story to your brothers. This is a blessing. It's a dream. Dreams are blessings, brothers and sisters. If I start going into all of the different dreams that I had, I think we'll be here till tomorrow. And the lessons that we can take from it and the interpretations and whatever have you. Dreams are not superstitions. They have a place in our Sharia. They have a place in our Sharia. The Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he told us, it is a portion out of 46 portions of nubuwwah, prophecy. We don't have any revelation coming down now, brothers and sisters. However, if there's anything close to revelation, it's these righteous dreams that an individual has. Right? Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he told us in another hadith, إِذَا اقْتَرَبَ الزَّمَانِ لَا تَكَادُ رُؤْيَا الْمُؤْمِنِ أَن تَكْذِبْ. When the end of times come close, the good dream that an individual has will most likely, most of the time, be a truthful one. That makes sense. The more truthful you are as an individual, the more likely this dream that you see will become a reality. As the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, أَصْدَقُهُمْ رُؤْيَا أَصْدَقُهُمْ حَدِيثًا. Like, the dreams are of three types, brothers and sisters. Number one, shaytani. A dream that you see which scares the life out of you. It is from the shaytan. Right? The second one is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One of the prophets, subhanallah, was telling me a beautiful dream that he had yesterday about Shaykh al-Albani rahmatullahi alayhi. And I knew straight away that this was not the third category which I'm going to come on to inshaAllah ta'ala. What is the third category? Nafsani. You're thinking about a Twix bar before you go to sleep. and then you end up seeing it. Does that mean anything? No, it doesn't. Right? Or sometimes what happens is, you go for a marriage sit down, right? And then she's the only thing that you keep seeing every time you go to sleep. It's very likely because you were thinking about her, right? Because you were maybe involved in doing something prior to you going to sleep, you'll end up seeing it. This is what nafsani, and it's dismissed. It doesn't have a significance. So he sees his dream and it's a blessing, brothers and sisters. One may even reach a point in his life where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends to him warnings. Don't do this. By way of dreams. And then he withholds from something that he really wanted to do. And then later on he finds out, subhanallah, there's a car crash. That happened. If I went there, subhanallah, I would have found myself in a car crash. Because the people that he was planning to accompany ended up dying in his car, but Allah told him in a dream. SubhanAllah. Right? So dreams do have a significance in our Sharia. You want to be from amongst them, be a righteous individual. Someone who's truthful in his speech and likewise truthful in his actions. And without a shadow of a doubt, as I mentioned, brothers and sisters, these dreams are a blessing. He's telling him now, do not relate this dream that you saw to your brothers. Because this is an indication that he is now going to what? Become a prophet. And all of your brothers aren't. There are differences of opinion amongst the scholars as to whether they became prophets or not. The stronger view is that they weren't. You're going to be chosen, وَكَذَلِكَ يَجْتَبِيكَ. From amongst them all. Allah Azza wa Jalla could have chosen the other one, right? To become a prophet. But it was Yusuf's destiny. لا تخصص رؤياك. Do not relate this dream. First point I want to take, my brothers and sisters, with regards to this verse is, the scholars, they took from this that people hearing about your blessings could be a reason why you end up losing it. I'll say that again. You relating your blessings to the people could be a reason of you losing them. As the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Al-'aynu haqq. The evil eye is a reality, it's no joke. Would you guys agree? Al-'aynu haqq, the evil eye is a reality. You could indeed lose your blessings. By way of people hearing about it. Let alone somebody who plasters all of his blessings on Instagram. Seeking that validation which will not give you that spiritual contentment that you are so craving for, brothers and sisters. The Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, especially when you're trying to accomplish something, right? It could be a marriage proposal, it could be that you now came up with this business plan, you try to keep it discreet, hidden, up until you fulfill it. And you accomplish your goals. He said, استعينوا على إنجاح الحوائج بالكتمان فإن كل ذي نعمة محسود. Be somebody who keeps that which he's trying to accomplish discreet. Because every individual who possesses blessings is envied. You don't need to tell everyone. Why is it that you have to announce every couple of moments what you're doing on social media? Look what I just found, and he puts it on. There was even once upon a time I was making jokes about it, right? When delivering lectures on social media. How I came across a post of a guy going into the toilet and he's posting it on Facebook. Why would you do that? Anyone in their right mind does that, brothers and sisters? And then as he's walking out, guess, look, I'm walking out. Why? By the way, that's one of the signs that you may well be a social media addict. I've got a whole lecture on it. Some signs, maybe we'll mention it at the end, inshallah ta'ala. You have to announce everything that you do every couple of moments. Anyways, going back to the point that I was making. Where was I? Like, plastering everything that you possess on your social media, on the World Wide Web. For those who didn't know what www stands for, it stands for the World Wide Web. لا تخصص رؤياك على إخوتك فيكيدوا لك كيدا, as they will plot up against you. Like, you now start walking around feeling extremely paranoid, brothers and sisters. You have a nice car, what are you going to do? Am I telling you to scrape your car? Am I telling you to remove the colors? La. You should only, right, talk about the blessings that you have to those all ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless it. If there is something that you're looking to accomplish, something that you've now been blessed with, don't start plastering it all over social media. Or telling everybody. There are people, the moment you tell them something, they'll talk to you in a way where blessings are only coming down upon you. It's just you that has all of these blessings. You can clearly see that this person is sick. Huh? Some people, brothers and sisters, when you are blessed, they feel as if they have been blessed. This person, my brothers and my sisters, is the type of person to be telling your dreams to. Or your blessings to. Because you know he's going to ask Allah to bless it. So that's exactly what the Messenger ﷺ told us. When you see a blessing that an individual has, say Allahumma barik, ask Allah to bless it. Going back to the point of plastering everything on social media, my brothers and my sisters, we have to ask ourselves the question, why do we do that? What is it that we're looking for? Validation? I've come across studies where social media has been compared to heroin. You guys have dopamine? Do your research on it. It has been compared to heroin addiction. Craving, the likes and also the shares. If he doesn't get a certain amount of shares or likes, it makes him feel a certain way. It is ruining lives. What we see on the World Wide Web, brothers and sisters, a lot of it, or should I say most of it, is not a reality. It is fake. A lot of it is photo edited or photoshopped. The glow tab is being used to remove that which she has on her face, to make herself look a certain way. Right? The other day I gave a lecture in Milton Keynes, and I gave some stats pertaining to depression and young girls between the ages of 11 and 14. How social media is contributing hugely to how they feel. If all they ever see is Kim Kardashian and her sisters, how do you expect it to feel? And the reality of the matter is, a lot of it is fake. I'm sure you guys heard of Gerard Piqué and his partner Shakira. Recently they broke up, right? You guys heard the story? They broke up. It's all over the news. Prior to that, somebody pointed out to me that they were what? Taking pictures together. They seemed extremely happy. And then all of a sudden, within the space of a week, they broke up. Who breaks up within the space of a week? A lot of the time you will see, brothers and sisters, that there are underlying issues. Problems that lead to other problems. And then eventually comes to an end. No one, after maybe what? Going through years of peace and happiness with their spouse, just all of a sudden breaks up. The moment one thing goes wrong. It doesn't work like that. But at times the problems are covered up with, let's take a picture together, in order to make themselves feel a certain way there and then. And you're looking at it, comparing your lives to what you see. And this, brothers and sisters, can make you extremely, extremely ungrateful. It can have a huge impact on your mental health, on the state of your heart, and so on and so forth. Does that make sense, brothers and sisters? Right? So many examples that I could give you. I used to sit for hours in the Prophet ﷺ's masjid. At times from Asr all the way to Isha. How many times have I seen somebody walk by and he looks miserable? He takes out his phone and he does this. There was even a time, subhanAllah, there was eye contact between me and him. There was eye contact. I was in shock, and the brother felt extremely embarrassed. His face became so red. And he looked away. They didn't want to make him feel any more uncomfortable and awkward. As soon as he took the snap, brothers and sisters, he went back to how he was, looking absolutely miserable. And this is the reality. Isn't this the reality, brothers and sisters? I'm sure you guys have heard of the biggest, I call it the Muslim scandal on Instagram. No one drop any names. No one drop any names. Huge following. They seemed the ideal couple. No names, brothers. Can you hear people whispering, please? The ideal couple. There was even times I was solving problems between husband and wife, and the wife would say, I want him to be like that. What is he doing? Jumping up and down with the niqabi wife, up and down the castle, or the bouncy castle, whatever you call it. He or she is comparing their lives to them. There's even a time where hearing prophets saying, them telling their wives, look, 3-way people. Huh? She is extremely happy with her being a co-wife. Huh? What happened after, brothers and sisters? The reality came out. Some of them came out saying that this was the most depressing period of my life. The most depressing period of my life. While they were posting everything you see on social media. Are you brothers and sisters with me? And people are comparing their lives to them. The shahid, the point is, brothers and sisters, a lot of that which we see is not real. Stop looking for validation on social media. It will affect your mental health. It affects your physical health. It affects your heart in so many different ways. Now, I'm sure you guys have heard of Andrew Tate as well, right? Let me tell you guys about Andrew Tate a little bit, right? He's lost a lot, would you guys agree? Has he lost quite a bit? As much as he comes out and, puts on that tough look, I've still got this and I've still got that, he has lost a lot of money. Because through Instagram and YouTube, a lot of revenue comes in. People come to know about the product that you're selling, Hustle Club and Hustle University, whatever you want to call it. People come through these different social media apps. Like, do you guys remember maybe the last thing that he posted, or one of the last things that he posted on his Instagram before he was closed down? Does anybody know? He posted a video of me. And I'll tell you what that video was about. And this was pointed out to me by a number of brothers. He posted a video of me where I was speaking about this particular point, which is losing your blessings because of what you post on the World Wide Web, the evil eye. This has been authentically reported with a sound chain of narration going all the way up to the Prophet ﷺ. This is what makes our religion also so authentic. We have chains of narration. And every single narrator in there is checked, scrutinized. Al-Ayn Haq. I was making this very point here. As soon as I made that point, the next story that he posted was him flashing all of his blessings. Flashing his watch, his cars, doing this, something along the lines of that. And then people sent it to me. I remember I was in Australia at the time, my phone exploded. Everyone's getting excited, you've been posted. I get posted over this guy who speaks a bunch of filth and evil. A lot of that, not everything that he says is wrong, by the way. But there's a lot of that which comes out of his mouth, which is pure and utter filth and evil. You brothers and sisters with me? And he only posted a video of mine in order to make fun out of it, or to ridicule it. This is what a lot of people mention. If I'm giving the message, then why are you going against the message straight away? Anyways, I'm not saying that he lost his blessings because of me. I'm not saying that. But if he was mocking it or ridiculing the message, then wallahi, brothers and sisters, right, the adab or the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is extremely close to those who try to ridicule. Right? Allahu a'lam what was the case, whether he was being intentional or not, and I'm not going to go into his intentions. I don't have the information for that. I haven't checked inside. But this is an example, brothers and sisters, that one could lose that which he possesses. It's happening right before our eyes. I'm telling you, brothers and sisters, I've done enough research that Instagram can be a huge source for making money. And no, I don't make money from it. We do not take a single penny from those who request from us promotions and whatever have you. We don't do paid promotions. Ala kulli hal, brothers and sisters, this is a very, very important point. انظروا إلى من هو أسفل منكم ولا تنظروا إلى من هو فوقكم فهو أجدر ألا تزدروا نعمة الله. Prophet ﷺ taught us a very important principle. He said, Look at those who have less than you. Don't look at those who have more. What will that do to you, my brothers and my sisters? What will this do to your spiritual reality at the time? It will cause you to become extremely grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're complaining about the most smallest of things, that which is extremely trivial. People in Africa, brothers and sisters, suffering. Right? There are people, subhanAllah, complaining about the homes that they've been granted. Some people have council flats and they're belittling it. Well, there are so many. One of them is my cousin, crying out for a council flat even though he's an optometrist. Takes something like 4,000, 5,000 pounds from Specsavers every month. But he is dreaming of a council flat while you are complaining about it. Right? Point to the matter is, my brothers and my sisters, right? This social media is having a huge impact on our lives. It is affecting our education. It is affecting our marriages. Wallahi, it's making us into failures. It really, really is. We were very different over 15 years ago, brothers and sisters. When we look at the millennials today, at times it really, really shocks us. It really, really does. How an individual, from the moment he wakes up until he goes to sleep, he's on his phone. Right? He's feeling a certain way, brothers and sisters. You know, Ibn al-Jawzi rahmatullahi alayhi mentioned a very powerful benefit. He says, إِذَا غَرِقَ الْقَلْبُ فِي الْمُبَاحِ أَظْلَمْ. Let me ask you guys a question. Playing football, is there anything wrong with that, Islamically? It's not a trick question, by the way. Huh? Is there anything wrong with it? No, there's probably some ballers here. Huh? Were you doing haram all this time? No, you weren't. Only I was one huge baller once upon a time. I even had trials for West Ham back in the day, but I'm officially retired now. The point of the matter is, right, there are things that are perfectly permissible. Like playing football, reading the news. Is there anything wrong with that? No, it's not. It's permissible. However, if you do the permissible things excessively, it has an effect on your heart. Ibn al-Jawzi passed away in the year 592. Over 700 years ago. You ask yourself the question, how do I feel after spending hours on my phone? Do you really feel good? Put yourself to the test. Right? Because you're doing it excessively. You're not even doing that which is impermissible or unlawful. Looking at the opposite. You're not even doing all of that. Or watching pornography, adult content, whatever have you. You're just there speaking with your friends. Look how you feel after that. Let alone constantly looking at haram, the impact that it has. Brothers and sisters, just ask the likes of Logan Paul, KSI, Justin Bieber, how they are feeling. I'm sure you guys recently came across Fusi Tube's video just before his boxing match. Don't worry, brothers, I know. I listen to these things. I look up on it. You guys heard of Fusi Tube? Why are you guys acting like you don't know? Huh? What was he saying in that video that was recorded just before his boxing match? Because I've never felt like this. I feel so great. I've never been happier. Like, what does he do and what has he left off? Because I've started praying. Allahu Akbar. He's praying now. Excellent. May Allah Azza wa Jalla keep him away from that which is going to destroy his heart. And you know what he also said? I stopped watching pornography. I stopped masturbating. I stopped committing zina. I stopped consuming drugs. I don't drink. This is what he's saying, brothers. An individual was apostated a number of times. He's finally come to realization. They drink to forget. We do dhikr to remember, brothers and sisters. Are you guys with me? A lot of that which we distract our minds with, okay, it is not there dealing with the underlying issues that we have. I have a non-Muslim sister-in-law, right? She came to visit us. She was living in, I think she lives in Switzerland or France. She's a mixture of French and also Spanish. Like, she came to visit us. I was like, perfect opportunity to have a conversation. She came to Egypt. I was in Egypt at the time. And she's a nurse. I asked her, what do you do in your spare time? Wallahi, brothers and sisters, I kid you not. She said, I have to watch Netflix series, otherwise I would lose my mind. And she did this with her hand. Why am I mentioning this, brothers and sisters? All of that which we distract our minds with, whether it's sports, whether it is the entertainment industry, Hollywood, Bollywood, Somaliwood, whatever you want to call it, brothers and sisters, all of these different industries that we see, the drug industry, right? They say about cocaine, it is Britain's open secret. The game industry, I think now it's already become $1 billion industry, the games, right? As for all of that which I mentioned, they are $1 billion industries. It is not going to grant you the happiness that you're looking for, brothers and sisters. It really isn't. All of this is just to feed off the sadness that we feel and are going through. There are underlying issues. If you feel good after watching the Arsenal game, East London, right? West Ham. You feel good because they won and you're a strong supporter. That's not going to deal with the problems that you have. You're just going to be back to square one after that comes to an end. Who's consuming drugs today, brothers? I know I'm just going a little bit off here. Who's the one that's consuming drugs? You think it's just the random junkie that you see rolling around at the bus stop when you go for Fajr? Just him? You think he's the only one that's consuming these drugs? Well, like professionals are. But why though? They are looking for something to cover up that spiritual emptiness that money can't buy. Are you brothers and sisters with me? I've done a lot of research on this. I just came to the conclusion, I thank Allah for it. That which removes our difficulties, none other than the salah. And acts of worship. Dhikr. الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَتَطْمَئِنُّ قُلُوبُهُم بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ. The Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, whenever he would go through difficulties, he would run to where? Run to the salah. He would run to the prayers, brothers and sisters. Like, let's go back to Surah Yusuf now. How long do we have till Maghrib? 20 minutes. As I told the brothers, inshallah ta'ala, we will delay it for a little bit. And then we can all go to Islamic Mosque and pray there in congregation together. Inshallah ta'ala. Going back to Surah Yusuf, alayhi salatu wasalam. They began to plot against Yusuf. They were overtaken by a disease. You know what this disease was? Who can tell me? Al-Hasad. Envy. What did they say? Uqtulu Yusuf. And I know this attribute here. Envy is extremely rampant in university settings. You and your friend both started university at the same time. Same time, same grades. However, you see him excelling far greater than yourself. So when the envy kicks in, you're burning inside. You look for every way for him to fail. Where they may be spreading things about him, getting together with your friends, in order to maybe tarnish his image, to just distract his mind, know which he's busy with. Al-Hasad. He said, Uqtulu Yusuf, kill him. Kill Yusuf. One of them said, La taqtulu Yusuf. Don't kill him. وَأَلْقُوهُ فِي غَيَابَةِ الْجُبِّ. Rather throw him in the well. SubhanAllah. What does it show us, brothers and sisters? If this envy is not cured, it could lead to one carrying out a sin such as murder, which is not a light matter. How can we cure the hasad, this disease, brothers and sisters, that has overtaken our hearts? Can anybody tell me? Brothers and sisters, it's an attribute also that you sometimes find amongst people of knowledge, amongst brothers. And this is an example of that, right? You find it amongst relatives, extremely rampant. How can I rid myself of this disease that could lead me to destruction, brothers and sisters? Who can tell me? You make dua for a person. How? Allahumma barik, mashallah. Anyone else?
Evening and morning adhkar.
Evening and morning adhkar. Okay, good. Anyone else? One of our scholars, he mentioned And he goes, you will struggle to find a cure better than this. He said, making dua for that person in secret. What do I ask Allah? I ask Allah to give him more. He's already got more than me. And I ask Allah to give him even more? Yes. Look how you feel after that. دعوة الرجل لأخيه المسلم في ظهر الغيب مستجابة. Prophet ﷺ told us, right? The dua that you make for your brother in his absence, you supplicating God for him, to give him more when you are alone. There has been an angel that has been given the responsibility to say, Ameen wa laka mithlu. You made a dua, the angel says, may Allah accept it, and you can have the same as well. SubhanAllah. There's no way or no means, brothers and sisters, to better your situation than this. Are you brothers and sisters with me? Uqtulu Yusuf, kill him. And you know what they said at the end? After we're finished, وَتَكُونُ مِنْ بَعْدِهِ قَوْمًا صَالِحِينَ. After that, we will all become righteous individuals. And I want to start over this very important point. Sometimes the shaitan, especially in Freshers Week, right? Comes and he whispers, oh, there's clubs every night. Sahih? I don't know about here. Maybe Muslims have taken over East London, Allahu A'lam. I was just telling the brothers, everyone that I meet, I think he's Bengali until proven otherwise. Clubs every week, or should I say every day, especially on Freshers Week. Does that happen here? Just about every university that I went to, they told me this. Does it happen around here? Some brothers say no. Happens? Yes. No. That are facilitated by the university, right? You're from maybe Brighton, you've come to study here in East London, Queen Mary's. Mary's? Or Mary? Queen Mary, huh? Oh, sorry. I realize I'm in Bath's campus, subhanAllah. Bath's. Fanaticism is coming out. It's just one night. One night. Nobody's watching. I've traveled out from Brighton all the way here. None of my family members are here. None of the people that I congregate with in the house of Allah are here. Let me just enjoy myself one night. Let me tell you guys something, brothers and sisters, right? Every single Eid, whether it is the Eid after Ramadan or after the 10 days of the Hijjah, I hear about someone who died with alcohol in his mouth. Someone who died jumping up and down in the club. Somebody, my brothers and my sisters, who was up to no good. Every single Eid, I hear about a case like that. I don't know about you guys, but it reaches me. Whether it is in Australia, whether it is in Sweden, or whether it is in the UK, every Eid I hear about it. And this kind of mentality, my brothers and my sisters, is extremely detrimental. There are people who thought, I got away with the sin, nobody found out about it. Got away with it once, and then twice, and then thrice. And this might be an individual who's doing a lot of good, but shaitan gets the better of him. Got away with it once, right? Nobody found out. I've still got my reputation in the community or amongst my family. And he thinks he can deceive Allah. And before you know it, all of his sins begin to surface on the World Wide Web. And it doesn't have to be the World Wide Web. It could be amongst the people. Or what's even worse than that, brothers and sisters, is how he ends up dying. How he ends up dying. I'm sure a lot of you guys came across this video that's doing the rounds of an Indonesian lady. I think she just finished reading Surah Al-Baqarah and then she died. What a wonderful death. I've seen people die in the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And I'm hoping for something like that, right? But how does that happen, brothers and sisters? Does it just happen by chance? Does it just happen by chance? The principle is, وَمَنْ أَكْثَرَ مِنْ شَيْءٍ مَاتَ عَلَيْهِ. Whoever is excessive in doing something, he's very likely going to die like that. Let me ask you guys a question that's just pure common sense. If you're on your phone every single day, right? 24 hours, What's the likelihood that you'll die like that? Very likely, right? If you're playing football all the time, not so long ago, a cousin of mine called me, meaning about the same age, and he said to me, do you remember so-and-so? Tayyib. I said, what happened? He said, he died on the football pitch. He was playing football. It's like, okay. Send my condolences to the family. However, later on I found out, brothers and sisters, that he was football frenzy. Right? He spent a lot of time on the football pitch. I'm not saying that but playing football is actually wrong. When it now becomes excessive, what is the likelihood that you will die like that? Our question is, would you like to die like that? And I'm probably someone might ask me, as I'm walking out, is music haram? I'm not even going to entertain that kind of question. Whether it's haram or not, and I don't have a doubt in my heart that it's something that it is impermissible, right? If you want to try to justify that there's nothing wrong with it, do you really want to die like that? You're listening to Drake? Is that how you want to die? The last thing that you're doing is that you're listening to a song of Drake. وَتَكُونُ مِنْ بَعْدِهِ قَوْمًا صَالِحِينَ. Have you guys heard of Alan Shearer? You guys heard of Alan Shearer? Who's Alan Shearer? Explain to the sisters, I don't think they know. Alan Shearer, brothers and sisters, is currently a match of the day presenter. Every week you'll see him discussing football matches and whatever have you. Once upon a time, he was known as the fox in the box. He was like a goal scoring machine. So you have, what's his name again? Holland, that's it. I remember sometimes his name is Holland. I'm from Holland. Netherlands. He was that. He was like the Ronaldo and the Messi that you have today. A sheikh told me, one time I went to visit a young man who was on the verge of passing away. You go into his bedroom, you call it? Paperwork? Huh? Anyways, Alan Shearer is plastered all over his bedroom. On his wardrobe, on his blankets. Alan Shearer. He wakes up, Alan Shearer, he goes to sleep, Alan Shearer. You know, brothers and sisters, if I asked you all to say La ilaha illallah, would anybody have an issue saying so? No. I don't think anybody would. However, it's not that straightforward on your deathbed. They tried to get him to say La ilaha illallah. What do you think he said? Alan Shearer, and that's how he passed away, brothers and sisters. My mom, she one time told me about a brother who was on his deathbed. However, he had a girlfriend, and he was committing fahisha with. Okay? He was on his deathbed, they tried to get him to say La ilaha illallah. What do you think he said? He mentioned his girlfriend's name, and that's how he passed away. It's not as straightforward as we may think, brothers and sisters. The shahid is, the angel of death is not going to send you a WhatsApp message, brothers. Get ready. You're not going to get a Snapchat, or an Instagram DM. The angel of death telling you, listen, you've got 5 minutes. It doesn't work like that, brothers and sisters. It comes to you unexpected. The question is, are you ready? Are you really, really ready for that moment? Right? I remember once upon a time, many, many years ago, I was walking on Seven Sisters Road. You know Finsbury Park? Still remember where it is. It's maybe when I was what? 12, 13, and I had my little brother with me at the time. I ran into my uncle, and some whiskers began to appear on the side of my face. It's a big beard now. Once upon a time, it was just a couple of whiskers on my cheeks. And my uncle noticed this and he said, oh, mashallah Muhammad. Trying to become a sheikh, Just a young man getting on with school. I don't think I was even studying at the time, barely anything other than Quran. He goes, why don't you just shave it off and become righteous later on? You've got your whole life ahead of you. Wallah, I'll never forget that. And I just laughed it off and I never forgot it. What did he say? Because you've got years ahead of you, right? Enjoy yourself now. People get older, and then you can become a sheikh then, and grow your beard. Shave it off now. Fast forward, how many years? I'm not going to mention that because I'll be exposing my age. I don't disclose that. I'll say over 2 decades have gone by. I think it's that. No. I told you guys I was with my younger brother, right? My younger brother is not here today, brothers and sisters. At the age of 22, he passed away. Got the whole life ahead of you, huh? At the age of 22, brothers and sisters, as some of you guys may know, he was stabbed in the neck. He's not here with us today. A couple of months after that, another cousin of mine, at the age of 24, died in a car crash in Birmingham. I buried both of them with my own 2 hands. I'm not telling you this, brothers and sisters, so you can feel sorry for me. No. Every person's time here on this earth is numbered. Stop telling yourself, I've got 30 years ahead of me. A couple of months after that, I was in Mecca. I got a phone call, or was it a WhatsApp message? I can't remember. Do you remember so and so? I was like, yes. Was stabbed in the chest. My cousin, on one of the most busiest roads in Birmingham, Coventry Road. 3 relatives, brothers and sisters, within the space of 1.5 years. All of them were under the age of 24. This is what the brother of Yusuf said. You can become righteous later on. Let's commit this murder, right? Let's commit this crime, we'll become righteous after. This kind of mentality, brothers, is extremely, extremely dangerous. When I tell you guys about these stories, it's not for us to just relate it as a bedtime story and then go to sleep. There's lessons. This whole chapter is a lesson. فَقْصُصِ الْقَصَصَ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ, Allah says. Tell them about the stories so that they may think. Can work their minds. Right? It is there for us to take a lesson from. For us to become inspired by it. Not for you to feel sorry for me. That's not why I'm mentioning it. وَتَكُونُ مِنْ بَعْدِ قَوْمٍ صَالِحِينَ. Is that it, class? How long do we have? Huh? 30 Maghrib? Like I said, we're going to delay it, inshallah ta'ala, for, inshallah, by 7:25 we'll be out of here. Is that right? We've got time. Isha is only at 8 o'clock, right? Is that when it kicks in? 7:54, okay, we have time. I've got a couple of more important points, brothers and sisters, that I want to go through. But before I do that, please everybody stand up, do star jumps, 5 seconds, and sit back down. To get the blood circulating against you. I know the attention span is very, very low.
لا I'm just checking it out. Gary, let him.
Okay, everyone sit back down. Okay, next time. Just got a couple of more points left, inshallah ta'ala, we should be done. I know the attention span for millennials is something along the lines of 8 minutes. You guys have done amazing so far. Right. And the most important part of the story, we still haven't reached it yet. Huh? What happened between Imra'atul Aziz and also Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam? When he found himself alone with her, she locked all of the doors. Extremely, extremely relatable to the life of a Muslim. But before we go on to that, brothers and sisters, I As I mentioned to you guys earlier, وَجَاءُوا أَبَاهُمْ عِشَاءً يَبْكُونَ. After they decided to throw him in a well, they came back to their father with crocodile tears. Oh father, إِنَّا ذَهَبْنَا نَسْتَبِقْ. We went to race with one another, we left him alone. And then the wolf came and killed him. And even showed his cloth that he was wearing as proof. Straight away, Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam knew that they were not telling the truth. No matter how much you try to lie, brothers and sisters, it's only a matter of time before you become exposed. Does that make sense, my brothers and my sisters? Because the cloth that they brought wasn't cut up. Do you know if a wolf does not to come up to you and say, listen, can you please take off your clothes, let me take it? No. They brought back the cloth and he had some fake blood on there. Straight away he knew. It's a beautiful patience. Right? Before I come on to beautiful patience, my brothers and my sisters, that which relates to listening to two sides of the story. Not everything that glows, brothers and sisters, is glamorous, as they say. Don't be fooled by the crocodile tears, especially if you are a brother who has a sister. The sisters in a marriage shall come to you and complain from time to time. Please help me, my husband's doing X, Y, and Z. It's extremely, extremely important, my brothers and my sisters, that we remind ourselves of this hadith. I'm coming onto the keyboard warrior on Twitter. That jumps on to every allegation that he comes across and spreads it. I'll come on to that. But before we do that, the hadith is إِذَا تَقَاضَ إِلَيْكَ رَجُلًا فَلَا تَخْذِ لِلْأَوَّلْ حَتَّى تَسْمَعْ كَلَامَ الْآخَرِ. When two people come and seek your judgment, right? Don't rush to taking any of their sides until you hear the other one out. Fair, right? There's always what? Two sides to a story. Prophet ﷺ is teaching his companions here how to be fair and just. A relative comes up to you and says to you, where's your loyalty? You should be by my side. But he's the oppressor. He's the oppressor. He's the one in the wrong, but still wants you to side with him. Crocodile tears. On Twitter, my brothers and my sisters, would you guys agree that this is the platform if you want to be extremely opinionated? I remember one time Mike Tyson said something along the lines, social media has made people extremely brave and courageous. Because you should get punched in the mouth. I'm not telling anybody to do that. But what is he trying to say? You should get punched in the mouth when he's in front of you so he can what? Be humbled. Over the screen, everyone's just writing whatever they want. But they'll never say it to your face. They'll never ever say it to your face. So you have posts that you come across, brothers and sisters. This is very, very important here. Statements that you come across which you retweet, especially when it involves the honor of others. Allegations that are being spread. So-and-so committed this, so-and-so committed that. Accusing a chaste woman is extremely, extremely rampant, especially in school settings. Using the S word so loosely. It's from the most major of sins. And you now start accusing a woman of having slept around. Let's be honest here, brothers and sisters, there's nothing to hide. It's even worse than that when it's on social media. How many allegations have we come across that we retweet? I'm not downplaying, brothers and sisters, let me make this very, very clear. I'm not downplaying sexual assaults that take place. Right? I'm not downplaying that at all. However, as the Messenger ﷺ told us, الْبَيِّنَةُ عَلَى الْمُدَّعِ, the one who makes the claim, he has to bring proof. And of course, there are other intricacies that relate to what happens at times where a woman is violated. And what the Sharia says about that, that's a discussion for another day. But the point of the matter is, We are extremely quick in retweeting, writing stuff about people. I'll give you guys an example. I'm sure you've heard of Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, right? You guys heard of it? Right. Would you guys agree that there was more than that which meets the eye? Because it was the first case, right? He got cancelled, lost his job, lost everything due to some allegations that were made. Does that make sense? Later on, and I'm not standing up for anyone or siding with any of them, however, that which came out was, it is a lot more than what was spread the first time around. There's always two sides to a story. This person that you side with, unjustly, brothers and sisters, remember, the oppression that we cause will come back to haunt us. I believe in something called what goes around comes around. It's mentioned in the Quran, by the way. The dhulm, the oppression that we cause will come back to haunt us. I have a principle. You know what this principle is? I took this from Ibn Taymiyyah. If the people cooperate in sin and evil, it's only a matter of time before they bash heads with one another. It's your friend, right? It's your friend today that you're siding with. Unjustly, it's only a matter of time before you guys split up with one another. It happens amongst people of knowledge. It happens amongst drug dealers. Today they're friends. Upon sin and evil, see what happens tomorrow. Even amongst relatives, brothers and sisters. For decades, you will see that the families are split because of something they've done together once upon a time. All under the guise of loyalty. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said. Next point that I wanted to mention, my brothers and my sisters, is, before I go on to the next point, sending things on social media. I personally believe, brothers and sisters, that one tweet that you put out could be the reason why you enter into paradise. One tweet. Why do I say that? You're looking at the tweet and thinking, there's no retweets, there's no likes. How many posts have I come across being circulated on WhatsApp? Someone takes a screenshot, and before you know it, it's on the other side of the world. So hey, that's something that people are going to benefit from. Generations after generations, you've learned, now you're going to teach your kids. And it continues on your scale of good deeds. I want to post it. Hey, brothers and sisters with me. Likewise, my brothers and my sisters, the opposite counts as well. You say something about someone, and it reaches the other side of the world. Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam told us about the dream that he had when he was taken to those who were being punished in the hereafter. One of them, my brothers and my sisters, had a hook placed inside of his mouth like that. Hook. And he was being ripped all the way to the back. Another in his nose, another in his eye socket. He was being ripped. So the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam became terrified and asked, why? Why is this happening to him? And by the way, every time it's ripped to the other side of his head, it comes back to normal and it happens again. Never-ending torture. He was told, this is the person who comes out of his house, spreads a lie, and it reaches al-afaq. Right? The edges of the earth. And with social media, you can most certainly do that, especially on Twitter. وَجَاءُوا أَبَاهُمْ عِشَاءً يَبْكُونَ. They came to their father with crocodile tears, right? فَصَبْرٌ جَمِيلٌ. What was the reaction of Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam? Beautiful patience. My brothers and my sisters, I know some of us might be going through some very problematic situations. Twice Yaqub was quoted to have said this in Surah Yusuf. فَصَبْرٌ جَمِيلٌ. Beautiful patience. First time he said, وَاللَّهُ الْمُسْتَعَانُ عَلَى مَا تَصِفُونَ. The aid of Allah and His help is sought in that which you guys are saying. I'm going to seek my aid, or I'm going to seek aid and assistance from Allah. Second time round, Yaqub, right, ended up losing Binyamin. And also another of his children. That's how many now? 3, right? 3. What was the response of Yaqub? Can anybody tell me? جميل. فصبر جميل عسى الله أن يأتيني بهم جميعا. Second time round. And by the way, brothers and sisters, the scholars, they mention, from the time that he saw the dream, all the way up until they were reunited, some scholars, they say it was 60 years. Some 80. Right? That's the time that Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam had to wait in order for him to be relieved of these difficulties and hardships, subhanAllah. When the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam is told a story like this, doesn't that inspire him? Especially now with everything that he's going through. And we, when we go through some difficulty, are lost only for a year, subhanAllah. Anyways, going back to the point. Second time round, brothers and sisters, Asallahu yatini bihim jami'an. He says, perhaps now, second time round, Allah will bring all of them back to me. Tayyib. How does that make sense, brothers and sisters? How does that make sense? If something happens to you the first time, it has a big toll on you. It happens again, you're bound to what? Lose all the hope that, the little hope that you had left. Sahih? However, this time round, subhanAllah, his hope increases. His hope increases. It reaches a different level, subhanAllah. And you brothers and sisters with me? The scholars, they say, when you're going through a difficulty, my brother and my sister, and that difficulty now becomes even more and more difficult. It is now when ease is round the corner. So remain patient. If you do the right thing, Allah Azza wa Jalla will only give you that which is better. Another question that you may have, my brothers and my sisters, is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knew that they were going to get rid of him. Why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow this to take place? A common doubt that we hear from time to time by atheists is, if there's really, really a God, why is all of this evil taking place? Why isn't he doing anything about it? Agreed? Do you not hear that? No. What can tell me? I'm not giving you guys any doubts here, brothers and sisters. I'm not here to shake your faith. Don't worry, I'm going to answer it. What do you guys think? My brothers and my sisters, this is one of my favorite benefits in Surah Yusuf, right? If you look through the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refers to himself as Al-Alim, which means the all-knowing, sahih? And also Al-Hakim, the all-wise. It's mentioned 3 times. One at the beginning, one at the end, and then one in between. I can see some of you guys come from war-torn countries and homes. Right? I'll give you guys an example of Somalia. A war took place, sahih? There's a lot of difficulties, a lot of hardships. Did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala choose to make them go through that? Yes, He did. Allah is all-knowing. Maybe perhaps if that war-torn country didn't happen, right? Or if that war story didn't happen, Muhammad, Khadija, Abdullahi probably wouldn't be here today, sitting in the baths, theatre hall, learning whatever they're learning, studying whatever they're studying at this university. Would you guys agree, brothers and sisters, that maybe many of our parents are in a better situation at this moment in time than they were back in the day? No. How often have we been in a position where we thought that this was the best thing for me? For example, in our marriage proposal, sister comes along to Muhammad, and Muhammad is completely blown away. He must secure her. There's no one else on the face of this earth that will probably be like her. Princess Charming. And it just doesn't seem to be happening. And you begin to ask, why? Do you guys remember Mario Balotelli? Why always me? Why is this not happening for me? You know, sometimes we struggle to distinguish between that which we are being deprived from and the better thing that Allah Azza wa Jalla has waited for us. Our minds are limited, brothers and sisters. Why does one fail to understand? If your eyesight is limited, your hearing is limited, and that which you can smell is limited, why can't your intellect be limited as well? Oh, you who struggles to understand this. So many things happen, brothers and sisters, right? A year or two goes by, this is after he's finished university, he's just found a great job, and then another Princess Charming comes along. And he's thinking, wow, she has characteristics and qualities that I couldn't even have imagined. If that didn't happen, I wouldn't have this today. Agreed? There's a Shaykh, subhanAllah, that taught for decades in the Prophet ﷺ's masjid. He was chased out of his country. He was an African man, brothers and sisters, who was teaching the Arabs. Look how Allah raised him. But he comes from a war-torn country. He was what? Teaching by the side of the Prophet ﷺ's grave. At times things happen, my brothers and my sisters, because Allah Azza wa Jalla is protecting you from a big evil. Allah might take a child away from you. It could have been that that child will bring you so much unhappiness. Doesn't that happen? I hear parents saying, well, I wish I never had this child. Auntie, don't say that. Because of all the trouble that he's causing her. So with every situation, my brothers and my sisters, there is what? There is light at the end of the tunnel. There is good in it. Whether you can see it or not, your intellect, remember, is limited. Don't ever forget that. Your intellect is limited. There's another important example now. Ibn Taymiyyah rahmatullahi alayhi says that there's nothing evil that which appears to you to be evil that is fully evil. لا يخلق شر محضا. This may answer the question now. There's nothing on earth that is purely evil. This is subjective. Like you may ask me, what about Iblis? Isn't Iblis purely evil? How would you guys think? It could be that you fall short, brothers and sisters. Shaitan gets the better of you. An incident takes place, and you become the closest to Allah Azza wa Jal. Closer than ever. And that's because you repent to Allah Azza wa Jal, you return to Him. And Allah loves those who constantly repent, right? So there's always what? Light at the end of the tunnel with whatever we see or happening in front of us. Tell yourself there's probably some khair, some good that is going to come out of this. Be optimistic. Does that make sense? Like, so Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam is thrown into, and this is the last thing that I'm going to mention, inshallah ta'ala. Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam is thrown in the well, right? This well of darkness. This well that brought him so much grief and sadness. This is the well, my brothers and my sisters, we can compare our lives with when we're going through so many difficulties and hardships. Seems extremely dark, right? And gloomy. Feel like, khalas, that's it. Nothing positive is going to come out of it. Look at Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam. Remember, brothers and sisters, this is one of the benefits that we can take from وَكَانُوا فِيهِ مِنَ الزَّاهِدِينَ. They abandoned and deserted it. You may find yourself being deserted and abandoned by people. Where everybody leaves you. At times this happens, my brothers and my sisters, as Ibn Qayyim and Ibn Taymiyyah mentioned. At times this happens, brothers and sisters, when? Why? So that you find yourself in a situation and you leave yourself with no option except, I need to turn to Allah. It is only that Allah Azza wa Jalla that I can turn to. Because the people will always leave you disappointed, brothers and sisters. That is the nature of the people. Does that make sense? However, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not disappoint. So they sold him for such a cheap price. وَكَانُوا فِيهِ مِنَ الزَّاهِدِينَ. He did the right thing, and remember Allah Azza will take care of you. What happened, brothers and sisters? He's now what? Growing up. In one of the most luxurious places on the earth at the time. Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam was an extremely handsome individual. Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam told us that he was granted half the beauty of mankind. Maybe the other half has been distributed here, Allahu A'lam. Half the beauty of mankind. Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, extremely handsome. And we know normally the king or the leader, somebody with wealth, when he goes searching for a spouse, she's going to be top notch, right? the creme of the creme, as they say. Scholars, they say that she was extremely beautiful as well. For some reason, he was alone with her. My brothers and my sisters, being alone with the opposite gender, my mom would say, it's like Beb Yusuf. You guys know what that means? Fire and cotton. What happens when you place cotton right beside the fire? What happens, brothers and sisters? You can imagine it yourself. Men and women are like that when they are alone. Right? This is not being insecure. Men are weak, brothers and sisters. Our sisters need to understand that, and our brothers need to understand that as well. Sometimes we advise a sister, and she says, tell him to lower his gaze. Yes, he should lower his gaze. But remember, as the Messenger ﷺ said, I haven't left a fitna that is far greater upon mankind than women. This is why, excuse me for mentioning this, my sisters, I don't say this in the wrong way, right? What is society doing to a woman? It's sexualizing her. They're objectifying her. Maybe a toothpaste is being sold and you see it on the billboard with a half-naked woman. What has the woman got to do with the toothpaste? Look how they're treating her, brothers and sisters. They realize if I want to grab the attention of the consumer, I have to what? Make her look a certain way. Agreed? No. So Yusuf ﷺ was alone with her. And when you're alone, my brothers and sisters, with the opposite gender, expect trouble to be around the corner. You know, I sometimes tell family members and also the people that they shouldn't mix with one another. They shouldn't be alone with the other gender. Sometimes old-fashioned parents, they might even say, you guys are brothers and sisters. They're talking about two cousins. Just brothers and sisters, go upstairs, go watch the movie together. You see a female cousin and a male cousin going upstairs, sitting by each other's sides, and they're watching a sexualized movie. And then Abu Taymiyyah gets the phone call home, zina took place, he impregnated her, what's your advice? Why don't you just listen to what Allah Azza wa Jal and His Messenger Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentioned? There's a lecture I have on my YouTube channel, brothers and sisters, when you get a chance, please do go back to it. It's called Filthy Fathers, Cheating Husbands and Free Mixing. I could have easily filled this lecture with what Allah said and what the Messenger Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said. But, you know, when you do that, people look at this guy's a bit backwards, out of touch with reality. We're in 2022, brother. That which you're talking about is for the time of the companions. In a lecture, I was reading out first-hand accounts of people who fell victim to free mixing. It broke their relationships. It affected their relationship with their mothers, their fathers. Psychological effects, brothers and sisters. It broke relationships. Sometimes she'll say to him, brother, she's talking to her husband, right? Why are you feeling insecure? I'm not doing anything wrong. Let me just go. That's fine. It's just a guy, you know, I'm not gonna. He's my friend. Been to a couple of universities, they've asked me, can men and women just be friends? I told them, go and listen to Steve Harvey. You guys heard of Steve Harvey? Honestly, why do you guys keep acting like that? Whenever I mention a household name, you act like you don't know. Come on, brothers, sisters. He was asked this question, and he answered it so perfectly. Just being real. Excuse me, brothers, I'm about to say something. My sister, when he starts telling you all of these fantasies, we will get married. However, prior to that, he wants to have a relationship with you. Take this from me. This is brotherly advice. This guy is not being real. It's the use and abuse tactic. Chew her like a chewing gum and spit her out. That's what it is. It's as simple as that. If he's really, really serious, he is not going to creep through the window. He's going to go straight to your dad. He's not going to invite you to these romantic dinners and... You really want her to go to her father. Don't ruin her life. Right? Anyways, going back to the point I was making. You were alone. Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam told us, مَا خَلَى رَجُلٌ مَعَ امْرَأَتِهِ إِلَّا كَانَ ثَالِثٌ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ. Never does a man seclude himself with a woman except that the third is who? Shaitan. A couple of years ago, I was dealing with a situation where zina took place between two students. Guess where? In the prayer hall. Nobody mentioned the university, please. Jazakumullah khair. I got contacted and they were seeking advice. How do you think that happened, brothers and sisters? How? Huh? There was what? A partition. These dividers in between. Men here, women there. She would sometimes come around and she innocently would ask questions. I have this question. Right? And the fact that they're in the prayer room, they're really trying to be righteous, right? Some students, 3-4 years go by and he doesn't know the location of the prayer room. They're in the house of Allah Azza wa Jal. Right? Like, started all innocently, and this is how Shaitan operates. He's not going to portray himself in a way where, this is wrong. Nah. Baby steps, beautifies everything. Just go and ask him a question. You are in need of Islamic guidance. That's how the Shaitan works, brothers and sisters. That's exactly what happened. Ask the question, okay. She goes, next time round, it's the question with a smile. Look at the Shaitan. And before you knew it, brothers and sisters, zina took place in a quiet prayer room. You may ask me the question, what's wrong with zina? Everyone makes mistakes. You just go on with your life, right? Just one night, fresh speak, it becomes righteous after. Let her just enjoy herself for one night. Brothers and sisters, the sins that we carry out, wallahi, has a detrimental effect on our hearts. It really, really does. Just remember what Yusuf says. It's unfortunate that we have to use them as examples. And that the Quran and the Sunnah is not sufficient for us. It has a detrimental effect on your heart. I'll tell you guys about my cousin. I have a cousin who at the time, much better right now, was not living a good life. I think he was even selling drugs. We went out together, and we sat down, and he started telling me about what happened in the month of Ramadan. He said, my iman went sky high. He goes, I stopped drug dealing. I cut off my girlfriend. I told her, khalas. So he is what? Fasting in the day, praying in the night. Reading Quran, going to the masjid. Allah, he goes, my iman was sky high. I never felt like that. I never felt like that before. He's getting closer. Huh? It's like at times, brothers and sisters, you know, as soon as Maghrib kicks in, the last day of Ramadan, you can see the shayateen being released. So go to Edgware Road, go to Wilmsrow Road, I think that's in Manchester, Ladypool Road for those who are from Birmingham, or in West London. What's that road called in Southall? What's that road called? Come on, brothers. Or either you guys are very good brothers and sisters, and you don't know. Anyways, there's a road in Southall. That's what some of you guys may have seen us holding mics. We're on the road, on the night of Eid, right? I think it's Southall Broadway or something along the lines. Anyways, to cut a very long story short, brothers and sisters, she calls and she says, look, I want to see you for 5 minutes. And I want to talk to you about making this relationship halal. Halal. Huh? And stupidly enough, he decided to go. Drives up to the location, parks up. And brothers and sisters, before you know it, they've committed zina in the back of the car. You know what this brother said to me? He goes, after it's finished, wallahi, my iman being sky high, it is as if that very moment it came crushing down into the ground. You You know, sometimes your iman's high, you commit a sin, it affects a little bit, and a little bit more, and a little bit more. You looked at that you shouldn't have looked at, and all the way up until it goes down. However, there are certain acts that you do, brothers and sisters. It could completely destroy your iman. People don't just leave the religion overnight. One thing leads to another. This is why Ibn Taymiyyah says, the sin that you carry out is the first spark to disbelief. One thing leads to another. If you don't make tawbah, one thing leads to another. And you'll find yourself in a very, very dark place. And wallahi, the brother is there, and his eyes are getting watery, and as he's telling me this, how broken he felt, and whatever have you, because I feel like I wasted my Ramadan. It reminds me of the hadith when Prophet ﷺ said, لا يزني الزاني حين يزني وهو مؤمن. When an individual commits zina, right, the iman is taken, is uplifted from him, his faith is uplifted from him. Not that I'm saying now that he's become a disbeliever, but it has a huge detrimental effect on your faith, on your iman being up. Now that gives you a very good idea as to why at times we may feel a certain way, brothers and sisters. That's why earlier I gave you guys these examples of these YouTubers. Some of the brothers and sisters, khalas, they get tired of women, let me try something else. Let's get a little bit, you know? No comment. The point of the matter is, brothers and sisters, as soon as that happened, what did Yusuf do? When she said, hey Tarek, let's do this! Bring it on! What was the response, guys? Ya Muhammad. Straight away he sought refuge in Allah Azza wa Jalla. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. Brothers and sisters, you know this term hate Tarek, which means do this. Take it off. Khalas, go in. Many of us are getting these kind of signals every single night. Agreed? On Twitter, on Facebook, on social media. Every night we get these signals, these messages. When we surf the World Wide Web, we are being invited to do haram. These gadgets should be called, brothers and sisters, اختبار التوحيد. Your tawheed being put to the test. Tawheed, my brothers and my sisters, is what? Your relationship with Allah Azza wa Jal. Singling out Allah Azza wa Jal everything that you do. If we really worked on our relationship with Allah Azza wa Jal, and we studied about it in depth, a lot of that which is thrown our way, my brothers and my sisters, will not affect us as quickly as it would normally do. Tawheed, Tawheed, and Tawheed. The oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have these gadgets, did you forget that Allah Azza wa Jalla is watching you? Back in the day, if you wanted to sin, you would have to go into the living room and you would find these big Dell computers with big backs, right? I don't think anybody could take it and put it under his blanket, right? Big computer. Under your blanket, lives become so much more easier. And you'll be watching the door while on the computer on MSN. You'll be watching the door. However, you have the phone now. Some of you guys may say to me, wallahi, it's this phone that's causing me a big problem. I just keep falling back into the sin. Or I'm about to say, my brothers and my sisters, you may, or some of you guys may see it as extreme. Some of you guys may see it as extreme. It may well be time to go back to the trap phone. You know the brick phones they used to have? Nokia with the snake? Wallahi al-Azim. You know, brothers and sisters, I gave a lecture the other day in Luton. And a brother came running to me after the lesson. I had to shoot off because I had another lecture in approximately 45 minutes in Milton Keynes. It's not far off. He came running to me and he goes, I did exactly as you mentioned to me on WhatsApp. I said, what did I tell you? You told me to get rid of my smartphone. This brother, my beloved brothers and sisters, was a porn addict. And he showed me, look at my phone. So the brick phone. No. And he goes, ever since I bought it, I never went back to the addiction. I never went back to the addiction, and I'm in a very good place now spiritually. Allahu Akbar. I've come across studies, my brothers and my sisters, if you want to get rid of a bad habit, it might need 40 days. Sahih? And we have statisticians here. 40 days, I came across some studies, 30 days. Right? That you either leave something up or you do something and then it will become an integral part of your life. That's what I've personally come across. Can you live without a phone? Can you live without TikTok? Yes, you can. And inshallah ta'ala, every single one of us. So we want to delete TikTok before he leaves this room. I am anti-TikTok, brothers and sisters. TikTok is destroying people's lives. It really, really is. Yes, keep nodding your heads, brothers. I like that. It's destroying people's lives. It is toxic by nature. Have you guys heard of Imam Shafi'i, rahmatullah alayh? Imam Shafi'i, one of the greatest ever to walk on the face of this earth, amongst the scholars. He had photographic memory. At the end of his life, his memory started becoming affected. You know why? Because he looked at the bangles on a woman's ankles. It began to affect him. How about today, brothers and sisters? We're living in a sexualized society. Is it not going to affect the way we think, the way we behave, in every possible way? It is toxic by nature. Wallahi, I'll read out to you guys, inshallah, just remind me. People who messaged in saying how their lives have changed ever since they cut off TikTok and they thought they couldn't live without it. Going back to the story of Yusuf, brothers and sisters, first thing that he said was, Ma'ad Allah. قال معاذ الله. He sought refuge in Allah Azza wa Jal. I've got 2 minutes. Straight away after that, brothers and sisters, he ran away from her. Stop telling yourself, I'm strong. Wallahi, brothers and sisters, we're not. Let's be real. Right? He began to run away from her. This was also the initial response of Maryam alayhi salatu wasalam. When Jibreel came to her in the form of a man, he said, oh, come sit down, can I get you some dates? Because there was a palm tree there, right? Start joking around and being extremely loose around him. Did Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam do that? No. Bearing in mind, he's far away from his family. And normally when you're a traveler, or you leave your place of residency, you tend to put your guard down. Especially when you go to Morocco, right? He didn't do that. He remembered Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, brothers and sisters. And he began to run away from her. And remember, she locked him. It wasn't just one room. She locked every room. He was like the servant. And remember, she's like what? She has a very high position in society. He could have just thought to himself, let me just quickly do it, finish. You know, no problem is going to come to it. It led to his imprisonment. Right? And as you can see, my brothers and sisters, he goes from one blessing to some difficulty. He finishes with one difficulty and then he goes through, this is life. This is life, brothers and sisters. It's a life of ibtila. We all go through difficulties. Anyone who says to you that he doesn't go through difficulties, again, you guys see that smile or that lecture on social media, we all go through difficulties, brothers and sisters, from time to time. However, in this surah we have what? That which gives us inspiration in how to deal with it. Yeah? I'm finished. I want to leave you guys with 5 things. And I've been given all the students that 5 things. 5 things, inshallah ta'ala, that will keep you firm and steadfast upon the religion. Number 1, brothers and sisters, salah. I don't care what's happening in your lives. I don't care if you sister work in a brothel. Or you're on that new app called Fans or whatever have you. Wallahi, brothers and sisters, I'm being serious. You as a brother, you sell drugs on campus. I'm speaking to everyone here. Whatever sin you are involved in, I don't care. Don't leave up the salah. The salah is there to remove the filth and the evil from your lives. Sometimes shaitan makes you feel you're being hypocritical and how can you do this and you're dirty and... Wallahi, no one has the right to make a prostitute uncomfortable when she walks in the house of Allah Azza wa Jal. It is not your masjid, it's not my masjid, it's the house of Allah Azza wa Jal. Number 2, before I go on to number 2, there was a brother that went on Umrah with us. He used to sell drugs in East London. man. He was actually running the drug trade. Apparently he's got 2 houses in Canary Wharf through drug money. Allahu A'lam. 3 non-Muslims became Muslims. You know how? Because every time he might be moving what? Drugs from A to B. Time of the salah, he stops the car, takes out the prayer mat and starts praying. These non-Muslims are like, this guy never gets arrested, he's probably onto something. Let's become Muslims as well. And they became Muslims. That's because he prays, subhanAllah. The brother has now what? Flipped his life around. Flipped his life around. Makes sense to me. Why? Because he used to pray. Number 2, have a relationship with Allah Azza wa Jal. Have a relationship with the Masjid. Have a relationship with the Masjid. It's one of the things that really raises your iman. Number 3, brothers and sisters, at Tawbah. Being in this kind of environment, the sexualized society, brothers and sisters, the Messenger of Allah used to repent. You say istighfar 100 times in a sitting. Some narration 70. And he doesn't have any past or future sins. That's him. And what about us, brothers and sisters? Lowering your gaze, especially in you, is extremely important. It helps you in so many different ways. But at times it's almost impossible. So we have to repent. Astaghfirullah, keep your tongue moist of that. Number 4, Quran. Every day, brother and sister, read a little bit of the Quran. Read a little bit of the Quran. You're saying to me, I'm busy. I do pharmacy, I've got 6 years. I don't have time. Billahi alayk. You don't have time going from one class to another. You got a period, right? Finished, 50 minutes. You got 10 minutes. Keep your mouth moist. قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ. That's something that everyone has memorized. And number 5, brothers and sisters, it is al-ilm. Would you guys agree today we've taken a bit of knowledge? We've taken a bit of knowledge, and this knowledge has taught us how to protect ourselves. Agreed? Or did you guys come here and you've not learned anything? Let's be honest, guys. Every sin that we find ourselves falling into, it stems off from 2 places. Fitnatu shubuhat wa fitnatu shahwat. The university grounds, brothers and sisters, are breeding grounds for kufr, shirk, all sorts of things. You go into philosophy, he's really going out his way to strip you of your faith. He doesn't care whether you're a Christian or a Jew or a Muslim. And fitnatu shahwat. Shahwat. The temptations of this world, whether they are sexual temptations, whether they are the glitters and the glamours of this world, ilm, knowledge will teach us how to navigate and maneuver around all of these different problems that are having a detrimental effect on our hearts, brothers and sisters. Yeah, 5 things. Find a way to learn, brothers and sisters. It is an integral part of a Muslim's way of life. Jazakumullah khairan wa ahsanallahu ilaykum. Honestly, I say this again from the bottom of my heart. Jazakumullah khair for coming, all of you guys. I hope this was beneficial. I know it was long. It's been pretty long, right? There's been there for approximately 2 hours. Well done, all millennials.